Good
What?
evening and welcome to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. My name is Dwayne Dwight. I go by the Mindset Coach,
My name is the Uncle Junior, and I go by the Consistency Coach.
and we are your coaches for Coach's Corner. As always, it is an honor to share in conversation with my brother, the Uncle Junior himself, the Consistency Coach. And as always, it is our pleasure to share in conversation with you, our listening audience, the livest chat in social media, and anyone who is just curious about what we have going on over here in Coach's Corner. Now, as I always say, if you came tonight and you are just looking to get some information, go sit on the couch, pop some popcorns, get you a beer, and watch TV or watch the game, whatever the case may be, and don't apply anything that you hear on this on the Coach's Corner, then you're not in the right place. But if you're looking to leave an impact, like be impactful in other people's lives, leave a lasting change for everybody out there, like be significant in the lives of others, then you're in the right place because that's what we do over here in Coach's Corner. So without further ado, let me talk to my brother, as always, the Uncle Junior himself, the Consistency Coach. Brother, how are you doing on this beautiful evening?
Man, I am doing well. It's one of those days where we didn't spend a whole lot of time backstage talking and stuff like that, man. So, just want to say hello to you, man. It's a beautiful day as always. My heart goes out. I just want to say, shout out to those people who are out there going over to these certain cities that have been affected by the floods and stuff like that. So shout out to those people that's over there helping out in those cities that have been affected.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And let me be the first to say, man, I look forward to our backstage conversations. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's our opportunity to connect and kind of catch up with what's going on in each other's lives. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, man. I greatly appreciate that.
yeah,
It's good for us, especially men, to be able to have a space where we can communicate and express ourselves and be open and transparent. So I thank you for just allowing that and making that possible.
yeah,
Um,
man. Likewise.
yeah, man. I've done too much talking. You driving a train today, so I'm going to shut up and let you handle your business.
Oh man, well since I'm driving the train today, I'm gonna start out with by saying this. In today's episode, we are going to explore one of the biggest questions in personal growth. What is one life-changing habit that can unlock massive success and fulfillment? Today, together, we dive into how adopting a single transformative principle can have a ripple effect on all areas of life, whether it's relationships, health, career, or personal development. Drawn from perspectives of John Maxwell, David Goggins, Eric Thomas, Ray Lewis, and Joe Rogan, we dissect the mindsets and strategies that help them achieve greatness. Our discussion centers on practical, actionable insights that you can apply today to start seeing real results in your life. Whether you're stuck in a rut, looking for a breakthrough, or just curious about what could take you to the next level, this conversation is for you. Tune in as we explore, debate, and uncover that one habit or mindset shift that can change everything. With that being said, brother, I mentioned a couple of different names in that intro. I mentioned some David Goggins, I mentioned Joe Rogan, I mentioned Eric Thomas. The reason why I mentioned all of those dudes is that because those in some shape or fashion have been a big part of my life over the last few years, going through and figuring out what my purpose was in life to even now, each one of them has something that they're good at. Each one of them have made it to a certain level that most people don't get to, and just with that being said, I know today's topic is about the only life changing habit you need to adopt. But there are a whole bunch of different habits that we can adopt to be great. But I don't know if we're going to focus on one today, if we're going to talk about a whole lot of different ones. But I would like to see if we can at some point maybe get to a point where we can focus on and agree or not agree to that one life changing habit that you need to adopt. So, with that being said, man, is there anything that we need to define before we start this conversation?
Um, my initial answer is yes.
Mm,
But I think that needs to be quantified. I just can't say yes and just leave it out there because it leaves a lot to be desired. I love the fact that you started off by addressing David Goggins and you addressed Eric Thomas and Joe Rogan and Ray Lewis. And I like the fact you threw Ray Lewis in there as well because Ray Lewis is a great motivational speaker. I think it's imperative that we look at these people as examples of what is possible. I think too many times, we look at what these people do and we say, I want to be just like that. And the issue is there's only one Eric Thomas, there's only one Ray Lewis, there's only
hmm.
one, David Goggins. And so can I be very similar to that? Sure, I can be similar to that. But I think the key is for me, I have to be the person that I am called to be. And I think that's the thing that I need to define. If I don't define that, then what ends up happening is I end up chasing their identity and I fail to recognize mine. So I need to understand who I am, first of all. I also need to understand what I am called to do. I like the fact that you mentioned purpose because in order for me to get the calling, I must first have purpose. But the thing that makes those things come to life for every person is getting to the point of having a clear identity. And that's a struggle in today's society because there's a lot of broken homes. Make no mistake about it. And we've talked about this on different shows. Make no mistake about it. When a child is absent of a mother or a father, or don't have a good relationship with a mother or a father, they may struggle with identity formation to a certain degree. That means that they may make some bad decisions going through life and so forth and so on. And that's just part of their developmental process. It's good, bad, or indifferent. But having a clear identity that gets me to the point of defining purpose for me, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And then that purpose get me to the point of having a clear cut understanding of what I am called to do. I think if we can, at a minimum, define that, we're on a good glide path.
Yeah, I can dig that. I also think that maybe something we need to define is what a habit is. You know, I think one thing that can give us an example is brushing our teeth. I mean, for most of us, that's something that we do almost, at least most of us, at least once a day, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a day, depending on what your oral hygiene habits are. But I think that's something, a habit is something that you do on a consistent basis for whatever reason. There's a bunch of different habits. Ooh, what about addictions? I don't know why that popped up in my head, but I think a habit. Hmm, what's the what's the relation between habit and addiction? Hmm. Maybe we'll get into some of that as the show goes on. I don't know.
Let's do
But
it.
yeah. So here we go. From your own journey. Yes, your own. Like sometimes I want us to be transparent. Sometimes I want us to dig into us because a lot of times we talk about things in general. We talk about, someone that we know or yada yada yada. So I want for this question, I want us to make it personal,
Yeah.
right? So from your own journey, what was the turning point or realization that helped you unlock new levels of success and fulfillment?
Initially, my thought is that life isn't a straight line journey. And what do I mean when I say that? Life is filled with paradoxes that we have to come to an understanding. I give you a perfect one as it pertains to success. The gateway to success is through failure. So if I fail, if I do not harness the necessary power and opportunities that present themselves to me in any version of failure that I have, then success at that point can become elusive because there's a danger with achieving success without any failure, there are some lessons that I miss en route to success. So when it comes down to those things, understanding the paradoxes that exist in my life. In my younger years, I would say definitely I wanted to be successful. But what does that success look like? Success looks like achieving success incrementally in the direction of the overall success that I want. But here's the issue: I didn't necessarily like the failures that came along with the pursuit of success. So when those failures presented themselves, I was hard on myself. I was really hard on myself, to where the lesson that I learned in those moments is that exercising grace is the best thing that you can do for yourself, because success requires you to fail along the path so that you can get a better, well-rounded perspective of the lessons moving forward. And so when I look at those different levels, it's understanding the paradox at those levels, and then recognizing that me wanting instant success is more about me. Me wanting the success that equates to fulfillment is more about how well I can serve others.
Hmm. The fulfillment, serving others. Okay. 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 I'll roll with that.
Like I
Um.
give you a great example because
Uh-huh.
I like the fact that you thought into it, right? What gives Coach's Corner value? For me, the fact that I believe that we are giving people valuable information, not just the information that you and I read from a book, but information that was tried and tested, and failure and all those other things happen. And then we're not just giving you the information from the books, we're giving you the information from the failure as well, right? So the lesson learned through failure piled on top of everything else. Now that's what people are getting. So for 20-year-old me, if I had Coach's Corner, this
Mm.
would be golden. So that to me is one of the things that I look at as it pertains to success in Coach's Corner. What if one person looks at these videos and say, "Man, that was good. How can I do that?" And they listen all the way through, get the actionable advice, and start implementing it, and they start seeing success happen faster. That's value added for me. That's the reason why I get excited to do Coach's Corner. So that's kind of like what I mean when I say that.
Okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. Um. So here's what was crazy is from my own journey. What was the turning point or realization? Mine was the realization that I don't know anything, right? And the more that I learn, the more I read, the more I research, the more I realize how much other information I just don't know, right? But the thing about it is that, when it comes to how that has helped me unlock new levels of success and fulfillment, in one instance, I have fulfillment in the fact that knowing that I'm never going to know everything, and I'm okay with that. I have to be okay with that. I think sometimes we go out and we say, you know what, I want to know every single thing about X, Y, and Z. And for the most part of it, it's hard. Like this is a huge world. This is a huge space that we live in. You know what I mean? Just even in our own community, there's so many different things going on. There are so many options that we have in the world today that we can do. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So for me, it's just like I have a certain level of fulfillment because it's like almost like a weight. I don't carry around this weight feeling or thinking like I have to know every single thing. You know, I have to meet coach's level of success. I have to meet what Roland's ideology of what he thinks success is, or Gaddy's, or Vic, or whoever else that I may come in contact with. You know what I mean? Their level of success is not the same as mine. Their perception of what success is may not be the same as mine. So for me, like I said, realizing that I do not know everything is very um it was kind of humbling at first, because I'm just like, I thought I knew a whole bunch of stuff. Then I started reading, then I started watching and listening to other people. I was like, man, but I don't know nothing,
Right.
you know. So um But at the same time, I get to create, it unlocks different levels of success because it's like I can focus on what I need to focus on. I don't need to focus on trying to learn and know every single thing because I'm never going to know everything.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
okay with it. And I can have a certain level of success based off what I think is success. And it don't have anything to do with anybody else's level or what they think success is.
But see, if you notice what you just did, that was a paradox. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know.
Yeah.
That's paradox.
Mm.
The more control I try to have, the more I realize that I'm not in control.
Yeah.
The more I pursue happiness, the further happiness slips away from me. Like all
Yeah.
of these are paradoxes in our life that we have to come to the point that we rationalize in our mind and realize that, you know what, it's not a straight line. It's more of a curve. So if I want happiness, I can't chase happiness. I have to realize that joy may need to present itself before happiness shows up. Because when joy presents itself, joy is more long term and more divine than what happiness could ever be. Happiness is for a moment. And what we
Hmm.
tend to do is we chase moments. Like we have those moments, those snapshots of happy. And I say it that way intentionally. We have those snapshots of happy in our mind, and we remember that, log it in our brain. And what we try to do is we try to hold everything and everyone accountable to that snapshot in a moment of time. But you fail to realize everything that it took to get to that woman, to that woman, to that moment, right? That it's me, woman, to that moment. And so it's not the moment that it is. Like everybody wants these moments in life, right? Everybody wants that moment when they make $1 million, that moment when they sign a big contract, that moment when they get married. No, that's moments happen, but it's the work that happens all the way up to that point.
So when we look at control, no, stop trying to be in control and recognize that you control absolutely nothing but self. And relinquish control, then once you relinquish control, you'll feel like you're more in control.
Okay. We're going to get some more into control too.
Okay.
Um, but before we do, we're going to stay on us for one more question.
Yeah, man.
One more time. All right. So for one more time, um, because I got mine. I just not thought about it again. It changed from when the questions got first written.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what is that one life-changing habit you need to adopt? And then elaborate.
It's funny that this is the question that you ask because mine has always been this and it will always be this. And in my opinion, that one life changing habit that I need to adopt, that I believe that everybody needs to adopt, is consistency.
Mm.
Being consistent. Now, sure, just consistency alone isn't enough. You need to identify and define what is that you're being consistent about. But the habit itself is consistency. The more consistent we become, the more value, not only value, but the more profound life becomes. Like think about it. You're training for a marathon. Let me use you for example because if I don't, you're gonna hey, if I don't, you're gonna use it. Um
There
you,
you go. There you
right.
go.
You're training for a marathon. Like the train up for a marathon has to be a level of consistency in order to get you to that level to where you feel in your mind confident that you can go out in a marathon and compete. Not just and I think I know you. I can say that you're not just looking to finish. It's not finishing, right? Completing a marathon is one thing. Pat on the back. Good job. Everybody gets a trophy, right? No, not this cat right here. He wants to compete. That's a total different level of consistency and commitment to consistency. So when I say that, I don't care what it is we're talking about. Do you want to be more profound in understanding what the word of God? It takes consistency to do that. Do you want to be more profound and dedicated in your relationships? It takes consistency to do that. Do you want to increase your finance? It takes everything. I don't care what you talk about. Everything takes a level of consistency, and I know that's your thing, and that's why I brought it up because I think when we look at it, that one habit alone can be monumental. Now, trust me, it works both ways. I can be consistent in doing the wrong thing, and being consistent when doing the wrong thing, I am going to reap the rewards of what that consistency requires. So whatever thing, whatever I plant is going to grow. So if I'm consistent with that thing that I plant, whatever that is going to grow in my life.
It was the whole show. That's the whole show right there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even going to go with consistency at all. Cause that's something that, you know, like you said, that's my thing. Man, you did a very elegant job of breaking down consistency and how important it is, man. So
I sense that you're proud of me right now because you're stroking your beard. That's
yeah,
that's that's what
man.
that's what
Yeah.
old folks do when they're proud
Yeah.
of me, right?
I'm like, okay. I'm like, he got it. He got it. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But
thank
it,
you, sir. I appreciate that.
yeah, and it's funny you mentioned it. And I guess when something is a part of your life, you don't always see it or hear it broken down from someone else's perspective. So, heads off to you, sir, for breaking it down because sometimes you need to hear it sometimes too because like you said, I'm training. I have some bad days. It's hard being consistent sometimes. It is hard, especially when it's something that's hard. For
If I
most people, it's not. Go ahead.
No, if I can inject, the
Mm-hmm.
bad days are part of the learning curve with being
Mm.
consistent. See, in the bad days, you learn a lot about yourself. This is for somebody else who's not training for a marathon right now, or for somebody who wants to do a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot about yourself when things don't go the way that you think they should go.
Ooh, facts.
Here's the thing: in the bad days, take a moment and question, why is this day bad? Ask your like you really got to get into it. Like ask yourself the question. And again, as we said before, right? If you really want a great answer, learn to ask great questions. And don't just stop with the first answer you get because the first answer you get that's going to be surface level. You want that
Mm-hmm.
deeper than surface level answer. So when it's a bad day, let's identify why it's a bad day. Why do I feel like it's a bad day? What is it about this day that made it bad? How would it have been a better day? How could this day have been a better day? And then what's the gap between me seeing it as a bad day and the day being exactly what I wanted it to be? What's the thing that prevents that from happening? I think when we do that, and I'm sorry to jump in there because when you said that, I was like, oh, I got to jump in real quick if you don't
Yeah.
mind. I think that's the key. And this is for everybody because people go to work and say, hey, how's your day going? It's all right. It's not such a good day. I'm having a bad day. Why are you having a bad day? Well, Mr. Martin got on me for being late to work. Well, I'm having a bad day because I was late to work. Mr. Martin didn't do it to me. I did it to myself. Maybe if I can change that, I'm not necessarily having a bad day. I may have had a bad moment because I had some things that prevented me and delayed me from getting to work on time. But that's that moment in time. So we can't take the moments and taking it elevated on the mountaintop or put it all the way down in the ditch. It's just a moment. Recognize the moment, appreciate the moment, learn the lesson from the moment, and then let's plot the course to go and find those good days. How about because you did 19 miles yesterday? I want to know that because we just talked about it, right?
Yeah.
Now, listen, y'all got to process that. This brother ran 19 miles yesterday. Only way I'm doing 19 miles is behind the wheel of the car. I'm just letting you know, right? If I did 19 miles, it would have been a bad day. I'm just gonna call it that. I'm just gonna put it out there. But here's the other thing: when those days are bad, recognize that every day really is good. That's the key. Every day is a good day. Every day that you open your eyes is a good day. Every day that we hit this, when I hit live, it's a good day. I'm smiling. I'm energetic. I want to be in front of the people talking to my brother. This is a good day. Will I experience a moment that may not necessarily be so good? Sure. Isolate it. Move it out the way. Take that moment, isolate it, pull it out the picture, and don't tie it to the entire day. Put that aside, question it, learn from it, and then take the learning and apply the learning to the day because the day is still good.
Bro is hitting them out the park today, ladies and gentlemen. If y'all have not tuned in today, if you have not liked this video, shared this video, or subscribed to this channel by now, I don't know what is wrong with you, because this brother over here hitting on all cylinders day. He cooking with Mo Gas, he cooking with Crisco, all those positive things that you can think of. That's what this brother over here doing. So, man, I'm over here getting it. I'm over here like, heck yeah, I need to just shut my mouth. And speaking of which, in your opinion, what is that one life changing habit you need to adopt? Elaborate. Here it is for me: shut my mouth. And I think a lot of people
Mm.
out there have that one. I think it's like that for a lot of people. If they actually really do some self assessment and looking around and looking at yourself in the mirror and figure out exactly how things can change your life, that's mine. Shut my mouth, right? Here's some examples of what I do. I will be over here, I will be having a conversation with somebody, and then I will be trying to figure out what I'm going to say, right? And I may get stuck on something. And I'm trying to figure out what am I going to say, right? All the while they're still talking, but I'm not really paying attention. I'm not really in the moment with them because I am trying to figure out what I'm going to say. Not only that, the other thing that I'm trying to do along with that is the physical part of that, right? So when you're having a conversation with somebody and they're talking and your mouth is like, they know that you are trying to butt in, right? And that is something that I am becoming more aware of and I'm trying to stop. So for me, mine is to keep my mouth shut, focus on the person and the conversation and be in the moment while I'm having the conversation with that person. And then if I want to say something, try to contain myself. Don't interrupt. Wait until they've said what they said. Give it a second, give it a moment to make sure that they're complete with their words, and then I say something back. Not bit, 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 bit. I don't know why I'm saying bit, 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 but it's just like bit, 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 bit. You know how that you talking to somebody and they like bit, 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 bit. You keep hearing them trying to butt in, and then next thing you know, the conversation goes up. And I know that once I go bit, 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 that person is like, this person is trying to talk over me. He's not really listening. He's trying to interject. So for me, that's that one life changing habit that I'm trying to work on. Bruh,
Listen, that by itself was a golden nugget. Like,
bruh.
you know how many people, like, okay, so transparency, I just did it. I don't know if
Mhm.
y'all paid attention. I did it a few minutes ago, right? I think we all, if we're just being completely transparent, we all have that. And I think the thing is, we think that what we're about to say is value. We think it's valuable, but it's still going to be valuable if you hold on to it until the other person get finished talking. Let them finish what they got to say. Pay attention to what they're saying. Just try to log it and then give them their undivided attention. So, number one, thank you for calling me out, sir. I appreciate that. And secondly, no, 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 no. Second, I own it. I own every bit of it. I just did it. But secondly, that is such a valuable point. Just that alone can improve like communication density. Because if you don't cut people off, they want to talk to you because they think they feel heard. But once you like, if you have a habit of cutting people off when they're talking to you, they're like, man, I want to talk to, I want to talk to Garfield, man. Garfield be cutting me off all the time, and I can't even finish the statement before that brother. Hold up, wait, wait, wait. I got to jump in right now. Okay, so yeah, that's valuable, bro.
Yeah, bro. I'm trying to keep my mouth shut. My aunt Cookie used to say, Lord, seal my lips. That's what she used to say. She be wanting to say stuff, want to cuss somebody out or something. So instead of saying bad words, that's what she used to say. So seeing this question over here, I want it, but I think I'm gonna go to the next one.
Okay.
Or I may come back to it. So how do you balance, not you, anybody, how do you balance the different areas of life, such as fitness, relationships, and career while staying committed to the one habit that drives your overall success? And even before you go, share with everybody what that one habit that drives your overall success is. If it's one word or something like that,
Mhm.
that would be cool. If not, that's fine too.
So I'm I'm going to be consistent with my one word habit. It's
Okay.
consistency. Because even when you look at fitness, consistency, relationships, consistency, career, consistency, it works in every last one of them. The thing that helps me to balance those different areas is called priority, which is the important part for me. And when I look at these, just these three alone, right? We can inject about 15 others, later. Relationship, fitness, career. Well, this is easy. Relationship, fitness, career. That's the priority for me, right? Relationships must be the number one priority. Why? Because at the end of the day, we are created to be like communal. We're supposed to commune with one another. We feel valued when we connect with people of like mind and we're sharing ideas and we're empowering and helping each other. Fitness level has to be next because at the end of the day, at the young age of 50, I'm trying to stick around. I'm trying to live the fullness of the life that was promised to me. If I'm given more, great. I appreciate that. And then career has to be third. Now, if you asked me this when I was like 20 years old probably would have looked like career, fitness, and relationship. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
it's different for most. It's different for different people based upon where they are in their life. But for me, it has to be in this order: career, fitness, and I'm sorry, relationship, fitness, and career. Because when I look at it from that perspective, I think those are the priorities that I am supposed to be. I have to take care of myself so that I can be okay for everybody else that I am in communication, that I'm in relationship with. Learning to shut my mouth, right? Like my brother just stated, helps me to be more relational. Learning to speak when I have something of value to add helps me to be more relational. Well, newsflash, career is a combination of relationship and fitness when you really stop and think about it. I don't care what type of career you got, there is a level of fitness in it. Whether it is mental fitness, whether it is physical fitness, there is a level of fitness in it. So, in order for me to have a successful career, I need to have relationships and fitness in order.
Yep. Dang. You said all this stuff. A bunch of good stuff, man. I was over here just um sucking in everything you said, and I forgot I had to respond to this too. So with that being said, I like consistency, but I'm gonna go with a different one, and I think discipline. And I think discipline and consistency. Sometimes I kept thinking about this. I kept thinking about this, and I kind of see it as similar to like chicken and egg. It's like, do you need discipline in order to get consistent, or do you have to have a certain level of consistency in order to become disciplined? You know what I mean? So I think it's both. I don't know which one comes first. I think in certain situations, there are people who can, they can have something tragic to happen and they can automatically get super disciplined and super consistent with something. I think there are people who may have a certain level of consistency. You can't have consistency without the discipline, though.
And I can't be disciplined without consistency.
You can't have discipline without consistency. You got to have both.
So the answer is yes.
So the answer is yes. Yeah, man. Because I've been thinking about that, and I know it seemed like we may have talked about that before, and it may have came up. I don't
Man,
know, but I don't know. I just it's something about that combination. And the reason why I'm looking up right here is because I got a thing up here and it says G Man, which is I guess for Garfield. I don't remember when I did it. It got discipline, and then right up under that it says Mr. Consistency. So I was just looking at that. It's crazy. And I think that's right there on purpose so I can look over and see it, while I'm at my desk and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I think balance, I think one thing we look at balance, and I want to just clear this up before I dig into the balance part, is that we look at balance, a lot of people think that it means equal, and it doesn't necessarily mean equal. It means balance. It'd be like, I may need 10% of fitness, 60% of relationships, and 40% of career or something like that. But it's whatever works for me, it's what's balanced for my life, not equal. It's not 33% fitness, 33% relationships, and 33% career. That may work for you. You know what I'm saying? But in most situations, it's not equal. It's not broken down evenly across the board. So I think the way you balance those things, just like you said, I couldn't really come up with anything else other than a priority. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Which one of these things in your life right now where you are takes priority? What is most important to you, you know? And the reality of it is they may adjust or they may even change depend on where you're at in your life. Just like you said, when you're at 20, it may be X, Y, and Z. When you're in 30, it may be like this. When you're married with someone, it may be different than when you're not with anybody,
Yeah.
you know? So if you have a certain level of fitness or, you know what I mean? Just maybe you're at a certain part of your life where the career may not be as important anymore. So let's go jump way down on the list, maybe not even number 3, maybe down to number 8. So um my answer to this question is discipline, and then the way you balance everything is just by prioritizing things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to stress, like, I know I said it before. I want to make sure I'm saying it again. Like, consistency is the fertilizer to whatever it is you plant. That's just it. So if you are undisciplined, you can be consistently undisciplined, and you're going to get the result of an undisciplined person. If you are disciplined, if you are consistently disciplined, then you will reap the rewards of a disciplined individual who exercise consistency with it. So I just wanted to add that in there again.
All right, so I'm gonna ask a question before we go into the next question. All
Mhm.
right, so let's answer this question. I talked about it at the beginning of the show. If you could give me one word right now for everybody who's watching, the only life-changing habit that you need to adopt is what? Give me one word.
Consistency.
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
be consistent with that answer.
And look, and here's mine: discipline.
Hmm.
So if you out there watching this, write down discipline and write down consistency. And here's the good thing about it. If you look over there, that red thing, it says Dwayne Dwyer. You look up under that thing that says mindset coach. You gotta have the mindset in order to have the discipline, in order to have the consistency. It's where it
What
starts at.
what he said.
Just saying, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to know more a little bit about Coach, hop down there to totalmindsetshift.com and he will hook you up with everything you need to know. Moving right along, sir.
Not so fast, my friend. Because
Hmm.
what if they want to know more about the consistency coach?
They can go to buildyourcreed.com.
There you go.
There you go. All right, here we go. Moving right along, ladies and gentlemen. Where's that one at? 43. All right. How does the ability to stay disciplined separate the success from the average, especially when motivation fades?
Consistency.
There you go.
Listen, it's funny because it really does sound like we rehearsed this conversation. We did not.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I like the fact that we didn't, because if he had changed the word discipline to something else, my answer would still be the same.
Hmm.
Consistency, right? Being consistent, like, let's just say, I don't know, my goal was to improve my penmanship because I want to get into what is it, calligraphy or whatever that's called.
Hmm.
And so I want to improve my penmanship.
You
So
have a calligraphy TikTok and blow up.
yeah, absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
people that do it, man. All they do is sit
Is
there
that
on
is that is
TikTok
it?
and write names.
Am I saying it right? That's what it's called, calligraphy, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, calligraphy.
Okay, if I'm
Michelle's
wrong, if I'm
Michelle's
wrong,
into it.
oh, she was into it. Okay, good,
Yeah, she's into
good.
it. She writes some stuff.
There you go. So if I wanted to improve my penmanship, the way that I do it is through discipline. I need to be disciplined. So I put on the calendar every day from this time to this time, I'm just going to write. Don't really care what I write about. I'm just going to write whatever comes to mind. Well, there has to be a level of consistency that goes along with that discipline. I can be I can want to be disciplined, but the consistency that goes along with it makes me disciplined. So I may start off really good, and this is the thing. This is the thing we see all the time at the beginning of the year. The gyms be packed in the month of
Yep.
January. They're
Hmm.
disciplined at that moment. In that moment, they're disciplined. Why? Because they're thinking about what their body is going to look like afterwards. So that's enough for motivation to happen. But the issue is that motivation tends to fade away because motivation is temporary at best. However,
Absolutely.
comma, what we're looking for is inspiration. We need to be inspired. Once we become inspired, then we get to the point of recognizing that, you know what, I'm doing this for a very deep meaning, something deeper than just the outward appearance. I might be doing it because what I want to do is start this program for a whole bunch of people who are looking to lose weight. So if that's my driving force behind what I'm doing, then what I'm doing now has a level of has a deeper meaning. That's the thing that promotes the consistency. Because when motivation fades because it wasn't that important to me. But when the reason why I'm doing the thing, the why is important enough and it's outside of me, it's for these other people out here. Now the consistency kicks in to jumpstart that discipline when the motivation starts to say, hey, you know what? You ain't got to do this. Just go sit down. Go eat a cheeseburger. You good.
Yeah. Let me say something about motivation. I have said this before, and I will say it and say it and say it again. I freaking hate motivation. No, I don't. I don't hate it. But like Coach said, it's temporary. So I don't want people to think that I hate motivation. I don't. But I literally think at motivation, my best analogy is like kindling to a fire. It's what you use to start, it's what you use to jumpstart. But you cannot put that little bit of kindling there and expect to have a log fire all night long. Once that kindling burns down, it goes out, but it's very great. It's very good to start a fire with. And that's what I think motivation is. Nothing wrong with motivation. You have to realize that's not what's going to keep you going. How does the ability to stay disciplined separate the success from the average? Is because discipline says, I don't care about time. Discipline says, I don't care how cold it is. Discipline says, I don't care if it tastes good or not. Discipline says, I'm going to do it even though it hurts. So that's why you separate success from the average, is because discipline and the disciplined mind is don't care about none of that stuff. Discipline don't care about none of those obstacles that come in the way, because they are going to happen over and over and over again. Every time you try to get to that word over there that says starts with an S and ends with an L that says success, every time you try to reach for that S word, there is going to be some hurdles. It's going to be cold sometime. You ain't going to always have the time. The food might not taste good. It don't matter. And you may not, it may cost you the relationship. But we ain't gonna talk about that right now. But that's what I wanted to go with that right now. Discipline, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. It shouldn't cost a relationship though, but
It shouldn't.
yeah, it shouldn't. But
But if you're not a disciplined person, it's hard to be with somebody who's disciplined. Disciplined people and undisciplined people, I think, have a hard time staying in a relationship.
right,
That's just me. I
yeah,
don't have too many people close to me who don't have discipline.
yeah, I agree. I don't disagree. That's why I say it shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
Yeah, but
And
I say that because in the get to know you phase, you should understand that hey, you're disciplined. I'm not disciplined, or vice versa.
mm-hmm,
Maybe my position is just to learn from you, and
mm-hmm,
what I should be learning is how to be disciplined instead of
yeah.
seeking to tie you down or whatever the case may. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
All right, we got one more question. We hit these TFs.
Yes, sir.
Um, in a world filled with distractions, what strategies can individuals adopt to remain disciplined and stay consistent with their goals?
Keep your eyes on the prize.
What do you mean by that?
I say that as a lead in. Whatever. So we talked about three things previously, right? We talked about relationship, we talked about career, we talked about fitness.
Mm-hmm.
When I identify those priorities, relationship being the priority. So if my relationship is my priority, my eyes should not be distracted on anything other than my relationship or healthy relationships that support my relationship. This is why I say it is good, like for married folks to have friends, right? You have, and it's okay to have both single and married friends. But here's the issue: the issue becomes if I have relationships that don't support my marriage. I should not have relationships that don't support my marriage. They should be extensions of. And so that becomes an important thing because those extensions of my relationships help me to keep my eyes on the prize. So, in the midst of that, we come to the realization that um, something can't be a distraction to me if I do not take the time to look at the distractor, right? It's a difference. Distraction happens within me, distractor is what's happening outside of me. So the thing may cross my path, but it never gathers my attention. Why does it never gather my attention? Because I am disciplined enough to keep my eyes on the prize. My relationship, relationships that feed into my relationship, right? My fitness goals, the things that help to motivate me, inspire me, and move me forward in my fitness goals. My career goals, the things that motivate me, inspire me to continue to be better, to be the better version of myself for the organization so that I can help people alike. So that's why I say keep your eyes on the prize. Distractor is external, distraction happens internal to me. And if I never pay attention to the distractor, it can never be a distraction.
I like keeping your eyes on the prize. I think um you mentioned, the fact that I was training for a marathon, and we talked a little bit about it before the show, but that's part of what is kind of keeping me going. What that is what's keeping me going is the eyes on the prize. It's that feeling of accomplishment that I'm going to have once that 26 miles is over. It's there are plenty of distractions that come along the way. We've had death in the family, we've had events go on, we've had people to come in to visit, we've had rain, we've had all of these different things, all of these different distractions that have been thrown out there to try to throw me off of my path, to try to get me to not remain disciplined and not remain consistent to my goal or to what I am trying to achieve. But the marathon is just a fill in for anything that you may be having going through your life. You know what I mean? Any goal. It's just a fill in for a goal. One of the things that I just thought about with this question is um, one strategy is that to have and stick to a plan. Like when you have a goal, first of all, I think a goal ain't pretty much nothing. A goal ain't nothing but an idea unless you have a plan for it. That's kind of the way I look at it, right? So people say, "Oh, I want to lose 20 pounds." Okay, well, that never gonna go. That's just an idea. You know what I mean? Once you come up with a plan, this is how long it's gonna take me, this is what I'm gonna eat, yada 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 yada. This is who I'm gonna talk to. Then right there, that's what, in my opinion, when it becomes a goal. So I think that in order to, a strategy to help people stay disciplined and consistent, along with keeping your eyes on the prize, is to have a plan and stick to the plan as much as possible. It's okay sometimes, like Coach mentioned earlier, to give yourself some grace. Sometimes that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But not to the point to where you're being negligent to your own self. Um, Anything else you want to add to this before we
No,
move
man,
on?
you no, brother, you spot on. I'm agreeing with you wholeheartedly.
All right. We're gonna do true false. Um, no true false today.
Okay.
Psych. We ain't doing true false today. So that's a psych for y'all. But instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump right into some multiple choice questions. That way we can hurry up and get down to the scenarios.
I'm nervous.
All right. Don't be nervous. Here we go. Which factor is most important when trying to identify the one life-changing habit for yourself? Is it motivation, self-awareness, luck, or external validation?
I'm waiting for the chat to give us their responses as we are getting ready to venture down this path. I'm just talking. That's all.
I know. I
Get,
got you. I
get
got
ready
you.
to venture down this path of discovering the correct answer. So, which factor is most important when trying to identify the one life changing habit for yourself? The clear cut answer to me is self awareness. However, I also think it's two answers here. I think it's
Uh-oh.
self awareness, and I also think external evaluation. External evaluation has a way of helping me to see things about me that I can't see about myself. And so,
External validation.
oh, I'm sorry. Scratch that.
Yeah.
Only answer is B.
But the word where you've gone with it with that other word, I could definitely see it B and D as well too. Absolutely.
Cataracts acting up, you know.
Here we go. Number 2. What is what is the most effective way to turn a new habit into a long-lasting behavior? A, relying on motivation alone. B, making it a daily practice. C, setting an unrealistic goal. Or D, keeping it secret.
I'm saying it all day.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer. I'm saying that all day as they're writing it in the chats all day long. I'm
All day.
saying it, and they ain't gonna change yet. That being said, my answer is consistency.
There you
B,
go, ladies and
make it a
gentlemen.
daily practice.
Daily practice. Now,
Uh oh.
here's another thing that I want to interject with. D, right? Sometimes we shoot our own self in the foot because we start telling people what we're doing. Hey coach, man, I'm about to get over here. I'm about to start running from this marathon. I'm start trying to train for a marathon. Oh man, you ain't gonna run no marathon, man. You've been sitting on your butt smoking cigarettes and drinking booze for ever since you've been out the army, right? So even though it's not D, I think sometimes back to my one thing. Sometimes keeping your mouth shut about certain
Mhm.
things can be very effective in your life. That's my 2 cents on
Let me
that
throw another
question.
let me throw another penny in there with your 2 cents.
Okay,
I wouldn't say keep it a secret, but only share it to those people who you know or your support system. Like
there
your
you go.
support system could be that group that gives you that extra motivation, kind of like when you was talking about the bad day earlier.
Mhm.
Like that's what that support system is for, right? They have those conversations to have you to think into certain things. Who knows? Part of the support system might be getting out there running a couple of miles with you. We're gonna tag team this thing. He
Yeah.
doing 19. Okay, so between the five of us, we all gonna do three. And
Yeah,
that's, you see what I'm
3.
saying? That's the support system.
Yeah,
So
it is.
definitely agree with keeping it a secret. However, keep it a secret from those people who will not support you. Share with the people who will support you so that they can be like that support system that you need.
Makes sense to me. Next question. What role does self-reflection play in determining the best habit to adopt for life transformation? A, minimum role. B, a large role since it helps you elevate your strengths and weaknesses. C, no role at all. Or D, it only matters after you've achieved your goal.
I really like this question
Mhm.
because it really sounds like it should be a clear cut answer.
Mm-mm.
But
There
if
you
you
go. There you go now. What you
but if
got to
you
say?
but if you recall, one of the things that I said is that it depends on where a person is in their life. Well, if it depends on where a person is in their life, ideally, what we want to say is the answer is B, a large role since it helps you evaluate your strengths and weaknesses. That to me should be the unanimous answer. However, comma,
Overcomer.
however, comma, What if I don't know my strengths or my weaknesses? And I'm at that stage in my life, I'm still trying to figure that out. So I'm a fan of self reflection, but sometimes I don't know enough about myself to reflect. And so, in the midst, if a person finds themselves there, self reflection is really going to help them, especially if they don't have like a good system to kind of help them get to where they are right now. So, if B is not the answer, we know that C is not the answer at all, right? Because self reflection has to play. At that person's, in the stage of that person's life, I would have to say it is a minimal role, but it would not be like minimal. It would be a role, but it wouldn't be as large of a role for a person who is self aware. So when we start talking self reflection, you got to realize a person has to have the right mentality to get that information about themselves, whether internally or externally, to say, hey, I can say I did that. I can do that. But sometimes early on, I don't do that. No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. So sometimes this one, I'm gonna go back to what your word was. Sometimes just being disciplined about something that a mentor told you to do is enough to move you forward in the direction of success. Then as you're moving forward, now you're starting to learn the tools that you need to become self-aware. Now self-reflection can work. But for this particular scenario, the answer without a doubt is B, but it's not always that clear cut.
How in the world you get a golden nugget on freaking multiple choice questions? That's what I want to know. Bruh, the minimum role part, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was going to say, but you pretty much hit everything that I was going to say when it comes to the minimum role. You know, because I definitely was thinking the same thing. By unanimous decision, yes, B. And the only thing I want to add to it is when we were earlier when we were talking about balance, right? So maybe in my balance in life, I'm taking a minimum, not minimum, but a lesser role, you know, in self-reflection. Maybe right now I'm only self-reflecting on one thing because that's all I can only it's all the capacity I've had. I've never done any self-reflection before in my life. You know what I mean? So I may need to start with something on a smaller scale, but it's not a minimum role just because it's on a smaller scale either. Very one small thing could be very impactful in your life, even just like the show's topic, one life changing habit. Um, moving right along. Oh, we the wish cards now. All right. Personal life, first scenario of the night. You're stuck in a cycle of procrastination, always putting off things you know you should be doing for personal growth. What's the only one habit you could implement to break free from procrastination and start making real progress?
Great question. I think the part that sticks out to me is always putting off things you know you should be doing. If you recognize this to be a thing, I'm just gonna be transparent. Pick up the phone, get on the calendar, hire a coach. Because you have some habits that you formulated, and those habits stem from fear. So you need somebody that you need to talk to where that person can help you to unpack and uncover that, and then to understand how that fear has manifested itself in your life into procrastination. And it could be a fear for a number of different things, but that's the one habit that I recommend in this. Then, after becoming coached, whatever the action plan becomes that you get from that coach, implement that habit. Like this one right here is one of those things. I know ideally someone's like, well, you can give us a habit, but that's the thing. I always say you got two types of people out there. You got those who know they need a coach and those who don't know they need a coach, but both parties need a coach. This is a perfect example of that. When you know that this is the thing that you do and you know what you should be doing and you don't do it, you need a coach, because the habits is the thing that's going to continue to prevent you from doing it. It's habitual now. It's a part of your subconscious memory.
Bro, own it tonight, bro. This is one of the most informative shows that we've ever had, and it's not. I don't think it's dry. You know
Mm-mm.
what I mean? I think it's good. I think it's really good. I think this is a really good show right now. I don't know why I'm saying this, but appreciate you, brother. Like on the spot. Appreciate the chat and everybody else. Everybody's making this a great show today.
Amen.
Um, moving on to the next one. I ain't even going to add anything to it. Like there you go. And here you go. Just in case, you can go here, ladies and gentlemen. You can go here, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. I'll just leave it up there for a little bit,
There you go.
and just leave it up there. Next question, next scenario. You've been trying to grow your social circle, but feel drained by shallow relationships. What one habit could you adopt that would lead to more meaningful and fulfilling connections?
This is a really good question. I love the fact that you brought into this question the notion of shallow relationships. Because ideally, a lot of times we don't realize that we exist in shallow relationships. We are superficial at best. So, what ends up happening for you to get relationships with depth and breadth, you yourself have to understand two things. You have to understand what vulnerability looks like, and you have to understand what transparency looks like. Those are the gateways to deeper, more fulfilling relationships. So when it comes down to it, the best thing that I can recommend, the one habit that I could recommend to you is literally taking inventory, right? And I know that doesn't sound like a habit, but hold on, give me a second. Take an inventory of how you show up in the space of relationship. So now, come pulling from the previous question, you have to become self-aware of who you are in the space of relationship, because it's just like the old cliche says, whatever, be the change that you want to see in the world. If you want deeper relationships, then you need to be able, you have to become good ground for deeper relationships. So you have to learn to become vulnerable, you have to learn to become transparent, and then you have to practice those things in which you learn. Being transparent allows people to trust you. Being vulnerable allows people to connect with you on a deeper level. You do those two things, that's your answer.
Um, I ain't got too much to add to that except for be the person that someone would want to have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Be the person that someone would want to have a meaningful and fulfilling connection with. You know, if you're the person at work who's sad all the time, but you see this person over here, maybe they may be some shallow relationships, but look at why certain people have good relationships. Be that. Next, fitness, wellness, life. Here we go. Let me blow it up a little bit. All right. You've always wanted to improve your physical health, but you keep falling off track with your diet and exercise routine. If you could focus on just one habit to transform your fitness journey, what would it be and how would it impact the rest of your life?
I think you gave us the answer. But you keep falling off track with your diet and exercise routine. That's the thing. You have to reverse engineer that and understand, why do you keep falling off track with your diet and exercise routine. Once we unpack that, then whatever that habit is, you have to figure out a way of turning that around. Maybe it's because, like, when I was growing up, my mom used to call us long eye. You know, yeah, you see something, you got to have it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just that your eye gates is the thing that say, "Hey, I need that cheeseburger. Hey, I see them. They got them them new chili cheese fries, or whatever the case may be. It's about 2,500 calories for a serving, but I'm gonna get that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just me removing those things from visibility. It could be something that simple, but you would have to reverse engineer the reason why you keep falling off track with your diet and exercise. Once you reverse engineer that and get down to the why you keep doing it, what's the thing that keep putting you in a position to make the decision to agree with falling off of it. And that's the key. You agree with falling off track. Like falling off track is available. Staying on track is available as well. I need to agree with one or the other. Are you going to agree with falling off track? Or are you going to agree with staying on track? Agree with staying on track always. Like make that decision right now in your mind and become disciplined enough to do that. So when these things present itself, like no, 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 because those things are simply just distractors. Remember, it's external to you, so it's a distractor. It's not a distraction until it consumes you. Stay focused on the stay on track. But if you keep going with the stay off track, now you got to understand why. Why is this so attractive to me? Why does it keep pulling me back to this that side when I really want to stay over here? Like what's in your heart that you really want to do, and then understand the why. I know it wasn't a clear cut answer. I know it's like, okay, I do that. Yep, exactly. You got to reverse engineer it. If you don't reverse engineer it, you'll never get down to the why.
Well, I don't think this is a clear-cut answer. I think that on the surface it is. Is yeah, the answer is consistency and or discipline or the combination of the two. But like you said, I know for some people it may sound like we're plugging coaches and stuff like this, but the reality of it is that maybe we are, but we're not at the same time. That's the reality of it. It's easy to say you have a consistency issue. It's easy to say that you have a discipline issue. However, comma, why? Why is it that you have a consistency issue? Why is it that you have a discipline issue? That's when you go out and you talk to somebody, have a conversation, kind of unpack it, like Coach mentioned earlier, and figure out why. Why are you going through this? You know what I'm saying? So, yes, on the surface, it's just, you know, this word or input a word, you know what I mean, that you may want to use with a consistency, discipline, or you may come up with something different. But if you wanted to impact the rest of your life and you don't know how to be disciplined or know how to remain consistent because for whatever reason, then you're going to always struggle with certain things in your journey, especially when it comes to your fitness and your wellness. Last one, love life. I think this is it. Yeah, this is the last one. You and your partner have been together for years, but recently both of you have become distant due to busy schedules. How can adopting a simple but powerful habit, such as dedicating quality time, reignite the connection in your relationship?
Yeah, this sounds very similar to one we've talked about previously. I think just adopting that simple but powerful habit of spending dedicated time together, like going out on dates on Friday evenings or whatever that look like make a plan to spend time with one another. You'll find that you will get back to enjoying the time that y'all spend together. I think too many times people get caught up with life. You found a relationship, you got married, and now you guys are more focused on what you do to make the house run. But what are you going to do to make the relationship run? That's the key. The relationship needs nurturing. Your partner needs nurturing. Like you guys need to communicate with each other to the point where you uplift and edify each other. Well, if you're not spending time with each other, you can't do that. So, in doing this dedicated time, you get the opportunity to pour into each other. You get to uplift each other. You get to teach one another, which is more profound. So in doing those things, it's just like having a garden. It will grow. And that's my answer.
Man, I like that. I ain't really got nothing to add to it, man. I think you was pretty much spot on with that, like you have been the entire night, man. So, with that being said, man, I appreciate everything, man. I think it's about time we gonna get into the the actionable advice. You ready?
Yes, sir. Taking a page out your book. Blow me up. All right. I This was a good conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think you've heard a number of different things. You've heard terms like self reflection. You heard terms like motivation and inspiration and reverse engineering and all those different things. This is the thing that I am going to suggest. Take an inventory of your life. Find one thing. right? And it shouldn't take long. Find one thing that you want to change, just one thing, and then make a plan to change that thing. You might have to do some self reflection to understand the details and the ramifications around that thing and how you want to change it. You may have to ask yourself about 3 to 4 why questions. Why am I having such a hard time doing this thing on my own accord? You may need to hire a coach. You may need to call myself or the consistency coach so that you can get the right mindset or find the level of consistency when it comes down to it. But in doing so, whether you get a coach or whether you don't get a coach, there has to be action steps involved in order for you to do that thing. Whatever those action steps that you come up with, put them on the calendar. Do them on a daily basis. I don't care if it's the relationship thing, whether you guys want to do a date night. Don't just commit to one date night. Just push the envelope. Commit to two. You know what I'm saying? If you do two, commit to three. I give you one better. If you do three, commit to every night being a date night. You just don't go out. That's my action of thought.
My actionable advice for this evening is very simple. Someone else needs to watch. Well, actually, someone else. Someone needs to watch this episode. Now, that someone needs to be you, or you need to share this video with somebody, or do something. But that's my actual advice. It's very simple. I think this was a really great conversation. We were talking about life changing habits. I think that that is something that any and everybody can benefit from. So, again, my actual advice for this evening is to simply share this video with somebody. Make sure someone watches it.
I bet you each person can't share it to 10 people.
There you go. I like that part too. There you go. With that being said, man, make sure that you guys come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for another episode of Coach's Corner. Check out the Empower Perspective podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Coaches Network. What else we got going on? What else you got going on? Saturdays you somewhere, Sundays you somewhere, everywhere you somewhere.
I know, right? Just come on over to Empower Perspective and subscribe. You do that, you'll get every time we go live.
There you
Tuesdays,
go.
Fridays, Saturdays, and we also go live on TikTok on Sunday mornings at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, just come on and enjoy. Oh, by the way, like you've seen already, www.totalmindsetshift.com/groups. We have a community over there where all we do is put uplifting and empowering messages. So that's it.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time, we are out.